What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pigskins and Pinfalls. I'm your host, Dick Burns.
And I'm Bobby Boomerang. We're here to talk everything from the women getting some new belts to the Broncos getting some help.
That's right. We're here to talk everything from the women's titles fixed to Dalvin Cook Nixed. Make sure you go
Ooh.
ahead and give us a like, share, subscribe. Every little bit of support helps to keep this show running, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. Leave a comment down below. Leave your expectations at the door. How you doing this week, bud?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah?
Good. Nice to be back. Finally, a full week back at home.
I mean, can you
No
call it a
outside
full
stuff.
week back when we have as short of a week as we do? There's like just going through our notes. Like, well, then again, the last time we said our notes was short, we ended up like just running our mouths for like an hour and a half. So,
Well, I meant like a full week outside of Pigskin and Pinfalls. Like a full week back at home. No outside stuff going on. Getting back into my regular work schedule and everything. Like
yeah,
all of that. How are you doing?
hanging in there. Just getting everything ready. I'm getting ready to start moving myself. So probably next week, that half of the stuff in the background is going to be torn down. So,
We're gonna have to start taking a look at the possibility of some football tickets in November.
oh, absolutely, because we got
Have
that
to
game
start.
coming up. That game's going to come up real soon, and we'll be in the area. So, well, I'll be in the area at least.
And that's pretty much my only opportunity to see a Cowboys game this year. So we'll
Yeah, because you're not making that Cowboys Dolphins game this year, are you?
Christmas Eve, man. Family's way more important than sports.
They booked that one so terribly.
I
I mean,
mean,
it's whatever.
it
If
makes sense,
everyone has to bite that bullet, someone's playing on Christmas Day. It's just a matter of who's doing it.
right? So, where you want to start this week? You want to do football or
Let's start football. We started wrestling, I think, last week, so we can go ahead and go back to our usual, starting with the Pigskins. First things first, the biggest news out of this week: Dalvin Cook has been released by the Vikings. This actually, there was writing on the wall, but it still surprised me because I
agreed?
felt like he was somebody that was going to be giving like. Yeah, I understand that Dalvin Cook has had injury issues in the past, and there's been questions of his ability to stay healthy for a full season. But when he's healthy, he is just such a monster for. Well, it was such a monster for Minnesota's backfield. That this.
He's easily a top 10 running back in the NFL when healthy.
Oh, absolutely. And the
And
fact that now he's going and hitting the free agency market without any ties to him. This could be really interesting because think about how many different teams there are right now that not necessarily don't need a running back, but could definitely benefit from having a top 10 running back on their squad.
yeah. So like at first, like you said, the writing was on the wall, but still surprising because for a moment I was like, he seems like he could be a Minnesota lifer.
I was
But
so.
then
Yeah, go ahead.
but then you think back to Adrian Peterson. They let him go.
Also
Adrian
true.
Peterson is a top 10 running back all time.
When they released AP, though, he was already like in his 30s. He was
Correct.
worn down. He had already experienced multiple injuries, and he was far past his prime.
That's fair.
Dalvin Cook is arguably very much still in his prime.
In his
I was
prime, yeah.
so sure that we were going to be seeing a dual running back team out of
Him
him
and
and Madison
Madison,
this year.
yeah. Um, so his rumored teams right now are the Dolphins, Bills, and the Bears. Um, the Dolphins don't need a running back, but he's from the area.
Hmm.
So nothing like a homecoming.
Exactly.
I mean,
Plus,
how many? That's not unheard of. People that want to go and play for the team that they cheered for as kids, like
mhm.
that's not unheard of.
Yeah. Plus, like we were just talking about them last week with who was it? So who else was it that got released recently? And then we were talking about the needs for where they could go. There was somebody last week that was
Don't
visiting
remember.
Miami. Yeah, neither do I. I'm gonna have to go back and double check. But
Watch
no,
last
like
week's episode to find out.
well, turn back to last week's episode, all 2 hours of it, because we had to get caught up on everything. No, but um, I think yeah, I mean they do have running backs. Like we said, we brought this up last week. That's why I remember talking about it. Is they've re-signed Mostert, they re-signed Jeff Wilson. They have a strong running back room already as it is. You throw Dalvin Cook into that mix, and it's just
A
well
three-headed monster.
for one, you're taking pressure off of Tua, which you
Yeah,
desperately need. Who
agreed.
also has wheels. So
Speaking of Tua, real quick, not to go off on a tangent, and I forgot to put this in the notes.
It's all good.
So Tua Tagovailoa recently donated $10,000 to a family who somebody in the family had passed, and his name was Eric. I do not remember the last name, but he had passed away, and it was nice that Tua did that because this guy Eric created the Tua Anon Twitter profile that defended Tua and the bad tweets against him. And when Tua found out that he had passed, he sent the family $10,000 to help with funeral expenses and stuff. So
Good
just
guy
wanted to
Tua.
give Tua, yeah, just wanted to give Tua a quick shout out, and obviously the condolences to the family for their loss. But when I read
Absolutely.
that was really awesome that Tua did that.
Speaking of
Um,
football and charitable actions, we want to also give our quick little shout out to Tom Grossi doing his 30 and 30. Have you been watching that series?
Bits and pieces. I haven't seen them all, but I've watched clips of it.
I mean, it really is just like small clips that he's been able to
Yeah, it's
squeeze
like
out for
five
each
minute
day. But
videos.
yeah, they're like 5, 10 minute videos, but it's so like, it's fun. I remember when you and me visited FedEx Field
Hmm.
and got to do the full tour there. And like, it kind of has that same like majesty about it. Only
Yeah,
he's getting
and
to do it
that's
at all 30 stadiums. So
right. That's FedEx. Could you imagine going somewhere that's like awesome?
exactly. Back on point though. So we talked about the Dolphins for Dalvin Cook. The Bills also an option. That's another one that's being thrown around there, and I'm interested with this because there's a lot of talk right now. Before we went on the air, of course, I had Pat McAfee pulled up, and they're talking right now about the possibility of Stephon Diggs leaving.
Yeah, he is not at minicamp right now, and apparently Coach McDermott is quote very concerned.
Which, again, like I know he's he's at a point right now, especially think about when he left Minnesota. Ironically enough, when he left
Right.
Minnesota, it was also the same thing. It was just like, you know what? I feel like I'm not gonna win a champ. I'm not gonna win a chip with this team. Uh, there's just too much. There's too much uncertainty with the team, and now it's starting to feel like he has that same feeling with the Bills because it's so many opportunities of getting to the playoffs but never winning the big one.
Correct.
Now, who was it they picked up at running back this year that was like the big name? Google, help me on this one.
Montgomery.
I think it was Montgomery. I'm pretty sure it was Montgomery, but just to double check and make sure. Right now, their
That's
depth
all,
chart wide receiver is or
that's
what?
not right.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. Because this is saying James Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, Naheem Hines.
Yeah, no.
I'm
Hang
pretty
on.
sure there was they picked up David Montgomery, wasn't it?
I'm almost positive.
Well, we can do a quick Google search. No, David Montgomery went to the Lions. That's where that was. It had well, if that's the case, so James Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius. I think it was Latavius Murray was the big signing, but again, right now they've got him listed as RB3. So I don't know how much I
Right.
trust in that. So, I mean, it's one of those things where if Stephon Diggs leaves and Dalvin Cook comes in, I would honestly say it's kind of like a one for one trade off, but it would still be better
Almost.
if you have the both of them on the same team making that push.
Absolutely.
Especially when,
Absolutely.
again, we just got finished talking about the Dolphins, and we've been talking all off season so far about how stacked they've become and how hard it's going to be to win the AFC East this year.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Dolphins are ready to go, and if they had Dalvin Cook, that's crazy.
What?
Um, I think that the writing is on the wall for Stephon Diggs, but I don't see him sitting out the way that potentially maybe Saquon is talking about sitting out for the
Yeah.
Giants.
Yeah,
Um,
because Saquon, that was the other one too. Saquon hasn't signed his franchise tag yet.
no, he has not, and they have until I believe the 17th to make a deal, and if not, uh, I mean, I don't know about that one, but I
What?
don't see Stephon Diggs doing that because wide receiver is such a. I mean, We saw what happened when Le'Veon Bell sat out for a year. It didn't work out too well for him either. But like wide receiver is not really a position where I feel like you can sit out for a year.
Like,
And
I feel like right now there's enough openings across the league at wide receiver that you can afford to pull a person or two, that you can afford to let a person go and they hit the free market and then actually get paid because
it's too
there's
late
enough
for
teams
the
that need them.
yeah, but it's too late for the free market. By now, it would have to be a trade.
Oh, agreed.
So that
And
and are the Bills gonna want to trade Stephon Diggs? Probably not.
but
I don't
at the
see why
same
you
time, I can see
would.
them wanting to try and at least get a little bit of value out of him before letting him walk.
If they can, sure, but at the same time, like if I'm the Bills, yeah, I want to get something for Stephon Diggs, or I keep my true number one wide receiver on my roster,
Hmm.
and and then he walks at the end of the season. So be it. But that's obviously a decision that they will need to make because people that get paid way more than you and me make those decisions.
Exactly. Now,
And then are you looking up Diggs's contract?
no, I was
Okay,
just looking in to see like what the rest of their depth chart looked like at wide receiver, and right now
Gabe
it's just
Davis.
yeah, Gabe Davis.
Everybody, everybody thought that Gabe Davis was going to be a really good wide receiver too last year, and he was not.
He was
Based
mediocre.
off of what, based off of what he did in the playoffs in 2021, everybody thought he would carry that into the 2022 season,
Mm.
and he didn't.
Yeah, he turned out to be relatively mediocre in comparison.
Correct. And then the last rumored team for Dalvin Cook is the Bears.
Yeah, that one came out as like a dark horse earlier, and I saw that and I was just like,
Yeah.
I can kind of see it, but again, they picked up somebody in the off season too. I can't remember who it was. Let's take a look. Chicago Bears depth chart. Deontay Foreman. That's right. So
And they still have Khalil Herbert, who, when healthy, very serviceable NFL running back.
exactly. So I mean, it really could go either way in this situation.
I do think Dalvin Cook is a massive improvement on both of those players. Um,
Oh, I agree. And honestly, I can see a Deontay Foreman, Dalvin Cook tandem working really well. I would take
Depends on the
that
O
tandem
line,
over Foreman and Khalil Herbert.
absolutely, but it depends on the O line.
Hmm.
You know, Chicago had a rough O line last year. Um, but yeah, so we'll obviously, here at Pigskins and Pinfalls, we will keep an eye on Dalvin Cook and where he ends up, and we will let you folks know. It's crazy how many free agent running backs there are right now, dude.
It really is. Like when you look
I
at
mean,
it, and then you consider all the other people that are on the fence. Like again, Saquon's on the fence.
right.
Zeke is still out there. Um, who else we got?
Well, I saw a list. Um, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, J.D. McKissick, Mark Ingram.
I think we read off this same list last week. Actually,
We might have.
we might have.
Kenyon Drake. What's crazy is all of those names that I just read,
Hmm.
with the exception of Mark Ingram, are in their 20s. All of them.
And Latavius Murray's already signed. Oh wait, here we go. Here's the active available.
That's the exact same website I was just on.
Yep. David Johnson and Giovanni Bernard are your only. And Rex Burkhead, Mark Ingram. Those are your only ones in your 30s. Mark Ingram, I would not be surprised if Mark Ingram retires this year.
I wouldn't be surprised if he retired. I also wouldn't be surprised if he signed a 1-year deal with the team and got him a couple 1-yard touchdowns.
The Mark Ingram way.
Hey, he's
100%.
carved out a good career for himself.
No,
So that
absolutely.
brings us to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, so of course we mentioned DeAndre Hopkins getting released last week, but now of course now he's on his world tour of teams that he's looking to possibly sign with. Of course, there's been a lot of rumors on where he fits in best as well. He got thrown around a lot as his name got thrown a lot. His name got thrown around a lot as well when it came to the Bills. Um, there were some people out there saying he could go to the Chiefs again, like last week. We were saying last week. He went to the big one this week. Yesterday, he went to Tennessee. Tennessee rolls out the red carpet for him. They're giving him like superstar treatment. Apparently, he spent several hours talking with players, coaches, everything but he didn't leave without a pen to the paper. So he's keeping his options open. Apparently, his next visit is in New England, another team that could greatly benefit from a good receiver.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, from what I've been seeing, it looks like all signs are pointing to him joining Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, him playing opposite Treylon Burks, and then who's their other receiver at the moment? Let's
That's it. I
Yeah,
think
pretty
that's all.
much. Pretty
I think
much.
that's all they
Not
have.
even kidding. Like not even trying to throw shade. Their depth right now at wide receiver, Treylon Burks, Nick Westbrook Ikine. I always mispronounce that. Chris
Racy
Moore.
McMath.
What?
Racy McMath.
Racy McMath and Kyle Phillips. So there's a whole lot of names there. Outside of Treylon Burks, you don't know what the hell's going on there. They
No,
could definitely afford to have a DeAndre on their team. And
absolutely.
so the other big thing I wanted to bring up on this, while we're doing all this talk about free agency, we need to discuss how much cap space all these teams have as well. So
Right.
like, yeah, the Titans would love to have DeAndre Hopkins, yet I know that DeAndre also wants big money. The Titans only have 8 million cap space left. They can't theoretically offer DeAndre that big of a contract. Like he'd have to take the pay cut to go to Tennessee.
That so yes, that's they would have to he would have to take a pay cut, or depending how the Titans feel about him, they use their cap space and get him and think that DeAndre Hopkins is the missing piece.
And that's not to say anything as well with them being able to pay him later. Like right now, let's take a look. So
That
next
next year.
year, so this year they have, let's see, 36.5 million in dead cap. But next year that all frees up, and right now their cap for next year is 93 mil.
So what they
So
can do is backload his contract.
100% they could if that's the case, and they just
Give
recognize
him
that's a
a
possibility.
massive signing. Give him a massive signing bonus, which would then translate into big money for next year.
Yeah,
And I
if they
don't
were
really
if they were
don't
determined,
really.
they could really do it.
I agree, and I also don't really see him going to New England. Bill Belichick doesn't like to spend money.
Although they do have almost 15 million cap space, they could afford him easily.
So as with Dalvin Cook, we'll keep an eye on DeAndre Hopkins. And then leading into my title from the beginning, the Broncos signed three-time Pro Bowl DN Frank Clark to a one-year deal. Frank Clark was part of the Chiefs Super Bowl squad. So bringing
That
in a little,
Denver defense just gets dirtier.
yep. And now we just need that offense to catch up to the defense, and they'll be good.
Yeah, because
Um,
as bad as the Denver was last year, their defense was still one of the top in the league.
yeah. Well, there was one point I forget where it was in the season, but it was like if the Broncos would have scored, I think it was like 16 points, they would have had in every game they would have had a winning record.
I remember seeing something about that. Yeah,
Like that shows you how good your defense is, but it also shows you how bad your offense is.
exactly. Like if you still
Defense
have
may
a
win
negative,
championships, but you got to score points to win games.
yeah, if you still have a negative differential in that one, that's like how everybody was talking about the Vikings last year and how they
Pinfalls.
went like 13-4, but they had a negative point differential
Right.
because that defense was non-existent.
No, yeah. I mean, Alice put 50 on them. Like that's
Yeah,
it's not good. But no, Frank Clark is a solid guy. Also speaking of the Broncos, it was cool last night seeing Sean Payton and Russell Wilson out at the Nuggets Stadium supporting the local basketball team.
congratulations to the Nuggets
Yep, absolutely.
winning their first
Um,
chip.
I don't know if I'm reading too much into it or if it's just it is what it is type situation, but I did notice that Sean Payton and Russell Wilson were not sitting together. I don't know if I'm reading into that or if it was just like a hey, I'm going with my family. You happen to be going to the same place with your family.
I think that might be what it is. Just maybe maybe got the tickets separately.
And then yeah, but um, but also this is a good deal for well, it was the Chiefs already made their good deal by cutting Frank Clark, saved them 21 million in cap space, and then Frank Clark's deal is 5.5 mil guaranteed, 2 mil in incentives. Um,
I think they got him for a steal in that case.
I was gonna say that's a real harmless deal,
Hmm.
It's a real harmless deal,
Which,
even if he ends up being a bust.
and another thing to consider. I mean, he turns 30 this year, so like, it's he's starting to get into his later. Like, you don't see as late of years when you start talking about like your defensive players and like your line players as well. You don't see them sticking around more than like at most you see them sticking around like maybe 13, 14 seasons. This is going to be his ninth season, his third team. I mean, again, I can see why they paid him less, especially when you consider again he was cut because of cap space because he had such a high cap hit,
Right.
and the fact that again they're trying to save the money. This is still kind of a money saving move, despite the fact that of course the Broncos are the richest team in the league. I mean,
Right.
there's like, you're right. It's a safe prove it deal
Yeah.
when you consider the age, his health. I mean, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, and I mean, for an edge rusher, dude, like they can literally say, "All right, look, you're getting 15 snaps a game. You're only going in on passing downs where you know you're rushing the quarterback.
Hmm.
Go get fucking 8 sacks."
There you go.
You know. So yeah, like yeah, he might. I agree with what you're saying. Like edge rushers typically don't get mid to late 30s, but you can save your legs a bit by telling them you're not going to be playing all 4 downs, 4 quarters. You know.
Exactly. If you're cycling them out a little bit more, which you're seeing a lot more teams do that now, where they're actually like cycling out, like they stack their defenses to where they have a little bit more depth on the bench, and they can just consistently swap their players out and keep them fresh.
Hmm.
You're seeing that a lot more now, and I think it's not just a matter of keeping your players fresh, but also just being able to highlight how much talent there is.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like as a Cowboys fan, our defensive line rotation is nasty. We have 8 people on the defensive line that we just cycle in and out all game. You have fresh legs all game. You don't do that with the offensive line.
Hmm.
So you got a left tackle that's been playing football for 50 minutes. And you got a D end that's been playing for 10.
Exactly.
So that does it for football.
Yeah, for the most part. Not a lot of wrestling either. The biggest thing that I wanted to bring up is that we've been calling for it for the past couple weeks, and they did it. They are changing the women's belts. They're streamlining a lot of it, really. So
Yeah.
I got a report here that I pulled up from Fightful Select that came out over the weekend. They're making an effort to streamline championships. Basically, well, I'll quote the title, the actual article as necessary. But Friday night, Asuka gets her new title. It's basically Roman's title with a white strap. Last
Yeah.
night on Raw, Rhea does the same. She gets the women's world title. Looks like Seth's, but with a white strap.
Yep. I I like the new belts.
I do too. Again, I've
I
already
like
talked about my issues with the design of Roman's belt, and that same sentiment is echoed to Asuka's. Although I will say the white strap does make it seem a little bit more gold. I don't know why.
So first they had to do it, right? They had,
Mhm.
and I think that this might be part of this. I think is Triple H being like, I'm making my stamp now.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, 100%.
But also, we've been bitching about red and blue belts for years.
And right
For
now,
years.
especially, and again, this just leaves the tag belts to figure out. And apparently, there's discussion about that backstage as well. I know that question was posed to Sean Ross Sapp last night, and he was just like, I haven't heard anything yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get some
Yeah.
kind of solution to that soon. The other thing as well, like that's not the only titles that are getting streamlined in the WWE. They're also, and this is something that also was heavily needed. They called up, of course, during the draft, they called up Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, the NXT women's tag champs, to SmackDown. They come out on Friday night, and before they can even get a word out, here comes Ronda and Shayna to challenge them for their belts. And they say it right in the promo like it is. There's not enough room for two sets of women's tag belts. We want yours as well because we want to prove that we are the most dominant women's tag team in this division. And that basically what they're going to do is whoever wins that match, which, I mean, honest, let's be real, it's probably going to be Ronda and Shayna. It should be Ronda and Shayna.
It sucks for Isla and Alba, though.
It really does. But at the same time, this is what we've been saying needed to happen for a long time. They're uniting both sets of tag titles, and they're going to be floating back around on all 30 brands the way they were supposed to be in the very first place.
Oh, you mean the original women's tag titles that were supposed to be defended on all three brands, and then they just never went to NXT, so they just gave NXT women's tag titles?
Yeah, kind of like that, because they were so sure they would be like, oh, no, it's okay, we have the roster depth, and then they let go of like 2/3 of their women's roster over the past couple of years. It's just like, oh, great, now you have nobody to fight for your fucking titles.
Yeah,
so
fucking
those are getting combined. That'll happen on the Go Home show, the Go Home SmackDown for Money in the Bank. So that'll be a London show. But so here's the article that I have, and I'm quoting verbatim from Fightful Select. As reported previously, the idea to unify the WWE and Universal titles were only combined when Roman Reigns was sidelined after he got COVID ahead of day one back in 2021. There were internal plans last summer and fall to have the titles separated by Mania 39, but those ended up getting nixed. And then that's when they made the firm plans to split the world title off and just combine Roman's titles. That same source says that technically the Universal and WWE Championship histories are still separate, but it's said that believe the WWE title's history will be continued once Reigns loses the championship. So basically, yes, this is the dissolution of the Universal title.
Yeah.
Women's tag titles are being combined. We've been told that women's tag titles will appear on NXT program when needed, as was the original plan for the original women's tag titles. They indicated to us that the unification would have moved forward quicker if not for the unfortunate injuries within the division. Liv Morgan getting hurt. Who else got hurt in that whole thing? There's been Sonya was the other one. No, not Sonya. Who was the other one that got injured that tore her ACL in that same match?
I don't remember.
Oh, Dakota Kai. Duh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Duh.
Dakota Kai tore her ACL. I was like, I had to think like who was recently challenging that got hurt when Raquel and Liv were. Yeah, That was Dakota. So, yeah, if it wasn't for that, then the whole thing would have been done sooner. Now, this is something that applies to both the men's and women's titles that was also brought up. And again, quoting from Fightful Select, one point of frustration we heard from WWE sources was a simple misuse of the term undisputed in two cases. Roman's title is being referred to as an undisputed title, despite Rollins being a world champion. And now Asuka's new title, also has undisputed on the front of it, despite Rhea Ripley also being a champion. One higher up in WWE said, quote unquote, that's admittedly confusing. I don't know why there's an insistence on doing that, and a lot of people have brought that up, and it's been dismissed.
Dismissed? Not discussed?
Dismissed.
Bro, I literally said these exact things on last week's show.
No, entirely. I mean, everyone's been saying it. It's not just us. It's just the simple fact of the matter is like, how can you call something an undisputed title when there's a dispute on who the other champion is? Like, you can't really call it undisputed anymore. And so, and to turn around and call Asuka's the same thing. Like, in reality, they need to find a new solution because obviously they want to find something. They don't want to just call it the WWE women's title because then you have the world women's title. And it doesn't sound the same. Like, I know that's in the past. It's how they've done it. It's WWE Championship and World Heavyweight Championship back when Big Gold was around. But I feel like for this one, you just need to find a substitute for, like, what can go opposite of world.
Global. No, but why can't you do world and WWE? Why can't they?
Because they're trying to do WWE World Heavyweight. WWE Women's World Heavyweight. They want to still put that WWE before it. So you can't have WWE Heavyweight Champion and then WWE World Heavyweight Champion because that's still confusing. You want to be able to, Essentially, what they need to do is just find a word to replace world to make that second set of titles. Like, it could have stayed universal. Hell, it could have been. You could have world and universal. I mean, granted, yes, world is part of the universe, but at the same time, it's just you're using two different adjectives, and at least
Right.
you're able to discern the two titles without having to take a look at the pictures.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of the undisputed for sure, as noted last week. But
Nobody is.
right, and jeez, I don't know how you solve that. Like, it's a simple fix, but it's not. You know, the simple
Hmm.
fix is like you said, finding a word to replace world. But what do you like? I said, global. You're not going to call it a global change. Like that's just dumb.
Yeah.
Um, I said that being very facetious. Um, shit, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, moving on from that whole discussion, let's actually talk about the implications of the titles themselves. Because yes, like they've made the name changes, they've made the new belts and everything, and that's awesome. But what's going on with the challengers on that? Now, on SmackDown, we've got a really we have our answer in quite a with like multiple choice, honestly. So they do the belt presentation for Asuka, and then Charlotte returns, immediately attacks Asuka, takes the belt, and it was already announced before that though that Bianca's been granted a rematch. So now you've got all three of them in the title hunt picture. I'm not
Triple
gonna
threat.
lie,
SummerSlam.
Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte, give me that triple threat. I'm down.
So here's the thing about Charlotte for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I love her as a wrestler. I hate her when she's doing anything else.
She's still
I
a
will
damn good
watch.
promo.
I understand, but I will watch a Charlotte Flair match in a heartbeat. But the week to week, I'm back just because there's a title and I need to get my reins to my dad's. Like, I'm over it. It's been the same story for years now when it comes to Charlotte.
See,
Like,
I don't think it's about. And again, we've had this conversation multiple times. I don't think it's about her trying to be the oh, I'm trying to reach my dad's number. I think it's just her being the dominant champion that she is. Let's be real. There are very few people that can stand up to Charlotte. Rhea beating her is what made Rhea into the monster that she is now because
great match.
it was an outstanding match. But again, that's one of those things where you really establish Rhea is one of the few people that can beat Charlotte, and that's what makes her so good. We still have yet to see Bianca Charlotte go at it, and that's kind of what they're leading into with this. Whether there's a belt
So
on it or not, who knows?
I agree that it's not Charlotte saying I'm going to beat my dad. It's WWE pushing that narrative on us, the WWE fans slash WWE
But they're
universe.
not even they don't even talk about it that much. They don't even bring it up that much that she's so close. Like they refer to her as the 14-time champion, but at the same time, it's like they just recognize that yeah, she's a really good women's champion and that she's been around and she's won that title so many times. Again, that number is heavily doctored when you consider how much that title flip flop between her and Sasha back in like what was it
Yeah,
2018,
yeah, the
2017 when the two
top
of them just
title.
kept trading it back and forth like every week.
Hmm.
Like yeah,
See,
that
but the other thing WWE's running into a problem that I don't even think they're thinking about is what happens when Charlotte gets number 17. Then let's say 9 months later, there's a fucking injury bug takes out half the women. So Charlotte gets 17, drops it. And then there's an injury bug. Like now, like, are you gonna want to put the title on Charlotte again and make her 18? Like,
if she deserves it, she deserves it. If she is still one of your top performing talents and can carry the division the way that she has for the past 10 years, then yes. Because let's be real, she has been the face of that division for the past 10 years, if not at least impartial, because of the fact that, yeah, she's been sharing it with her four horsewomen. Yes, Becky has had the biggest part of it in the last 5 years, ever since she became the man. Sasha, if she ever comes back, which probably won't happen, if she does come back, she'll be the next closest, I think, on Reigns. I think she's got like 7 or 8 herself. But
isn't Bliss up there?
no.
5, I think.
Yeah, Bliss is only at like 4 or 5. She doesn't have as many as you think. But again, like Alexa's out for pregnancy right now. That's another
Yeah.
name. That's another one of your big names that you
Should
can't
be
put the
gone for a
title on.
year. Minimum should be gone for a
Yeah,
year.
minimum year. So it's like I understand where you're coming from about Charlotte. At the same time, I recognize that they're treating her as the dominant champion that she is. I don't believe it is not I don't believe it's as much of a hit against her because of the fact that her father holds the record for the most, or at least is tied for the record now that Cena's at 16 as well. Like, I don't think it harms her as much because of the fact that it's the women's division. It's completely separate. If they want to have a dominant women's champion that just so happens to share the same bloodline as the most winning men's champion in history, then so be it.
Eh.
That being said, again,
At the
Asuka,
very least,
Charlotte, Bianca, however they do that, is going to be great matches.
took the words out of my mouth. I was getting ready to say, at least we know we're going to get a good match because Charlotte's in it.
Bro, I honestly, realizing that Bianca and Charlotte haven't had a straight program yet, like I do want that because I feel like that's a matchup that'll make money. Hell, that might be your Mania headline.
I want that to be a long-term story, though. Don't have it
100%.
be a quick. Don't have it be a
100%.
quick blow off.
Let that be as long of a story as her and Becky, as
Yeah.
Bianca and Becky. Let that be as long as heated. I mean, again, she's been having she had her long program with Sasha already. She had her long program with Becky. She had her long program with Bailey last year.
Yep.
The only one that's left is Charlotte. And honestly, again, it's just a matter of Charlotte. Again, they got to decide if they want the title belt on that or not.
I thought you were talking about Charlotte doing long programs with Becky, Sasha, and Bailey because I was
No,
like, wait, she kind of
no.
did though.
Well, I mean, yeah, they did, but that's all in the past. That was NXT time, okay? That was the very beginning of the women's revolution. We're long past that.
Yeah. So that's the challenger for the women's. I
Well,
believe we have.
for the women's WWE Championship, now you have the Women's World Championship. You can't call it SmackDown or Raw anymore. Now you got the
Perfect.
Women's World Championship, and now that's where I want to bring things up as well because there is nobody really in that division to challenge Rhea right now. No one.
I think.
Like,
So here's what I think. I think that we just get a couple squash victories for now, and then at SummerSlam we get a surprise opponent. I can't think of who. I don't know who.
I still believe, especially now that she's not in the tag division right now, that they're going to build up Raquel. I
She
think
just suffered a 2-minute loss to Shayna last night.
that's the other thing too, is that like you have to worry about how she's being booked now against the tag champs and that how much that's going to hurt her credibility. So I think right now what they need to do is build Raquel up a little bit more and then possibly, I wouldn't say time for SummerSlam, maybe put her up around like Survivor Series, Royal Rumble time frame. Maybe see how we feel.
I see Rhea holding the championship until at least Mania.
Oh, absolutely. I think there is, and I was saying this last week. I think there's a good possibility that Rhea uh, encompasses Bianca's new record.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if she immediately goes and beats Bianca's record.
close to 400 days, right?
Over 400 days.
Is it over 4?
I think it was over 400 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for the men's world heavyweight, we've got Finn challenging. Love
There's
that.
discussion of Drew making his return for a challenge. I mean that the men's title pictures are the men's title pictures. Those will develop naturally as we go, and I feel like we're gonna get some great matches regardless out of that. We're not too worried about that. The women's titles were the ones that got switched around this week. Those were the ones I really wanted to address.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Um,
but if you want to talk world title pictures, let's talk AEW then, because with MJF having won his Four Pillars match, he's still a champion. We're getting what we thought we were getting in the first place. What we thought we were getting led to believe, and we're getting Adam Cole versus MJF.
yeah, I know you have it in the notes, but those promos.
Did you watch the promos from last week?
Yes.
My God,
Yes.
The two of
Just
them are going to put on magic.
so MJF steals Adam Cole's promo from NXT to Karrion Kross.
All they have to do is put me in the ring.
Ring the damn bell.
Ring the damn
Ring
bell.
the- And then Adam Cole says, "Hey, why don't you and I go in the back, pee in a couple of cups, and see who's natural?"
Or the I don't know why you're so invested in my relationship. Maybe that's why yours failed. That one
Got the riddle treatment on that.
really did. He got the that's the best way to put it. Yeah, the riddle treatment.
He got the riddle treatment on that.
Mm.
But yeah, this is let's just I don't see why it wouldn't, but let's just hope the match can keep up with their words. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like it will.
I think it
The
will
only
too.
real question with that is figuring out how well Adam Cole is healed from all of his injuries, and if he's ready to like really kick things into high gear. I don't think he wouldn't, but
And because of the comment you just made is why I can give you my answer for your second bulletin on the notes there. I think
Forbidden Door all out.
I think it happens at all out.
I think so too. Or all in, easy.
So give Adam Cole a little bit more time to make sure he's 100% healed up. Also, pure greed factor, because I believe Forbidden Door profits are split with New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm AEW, I'm not splitting my.
I think also it's more important though that of course it's Forbidden Door. You're doing your crossover matches. They're gonna need to find an actual like true New Japan challenger for MJF.
Correct.
Who would you want to see from New Japan come over to face MJF at Forbidden Door though?
That's
Because there's a lot of good choices you could put
a
there.
lot of good choice. But you got to keep in mind, it's got to be somebody that New Japan is comfortable with losing. You're not going to send over your number one guy.
Yeah, like you can't do MJF Sonata and then have MJF go over. You just
Correct.
can't. That would
Correct.
devalue the IWGP Championship so much, and
That's
I
the
don't
point
think
that
they're in the business for that because they did the same thing last year when who was it? Who was champ at the time? It was Moxley at the time, right?
Yeah.
It was Mox versus Tanahashi, I believe.
Yes. I mean, you could have somebody like Okada.
See, I wanted to say Okada, but right now you've got this whole thing with Chaos and like the 6-man titles being them feuding against Blackpool Combat Club right now. So I don't see that being a thing.
I'm not saying Okada specifically. I'm saying someone like Okada who has the history in New Japan.
Give me MJF Naito.
Perfect.
Give me MJF Naito. Let's fucking go. That's perfect right there.
Yep.
Tranquilo, baby.
Tranquilo. Yeah. So, hungry?
Are you really reusing that joke?
I'm gonna keep it going now.
Seriously?
I'm making a thing.
Is it time for the leftovers?
It's time for the leftovers.
All right, my man.
And this first one, I will let you take because I have a website pulled up to give us some insight on it.
Very well. So, this past week it was revealed the cover athlete for Madden 24 is going to be Josh Allen for
Should've been
both the
Burrow.
regular and digital deluxe.
Should have been Burrow.
Nah, I can see Josh Allen getting his. Burrow will probably be next year.
Should have been Burrow.
Burrow. I think Joe Cool gets it next year, but I think Josh Allen is still. I mean, he's a great fit. I think he's a great cover athlete. I don't know. I don't know about you. I've been back on playing Madden a lot lately. The past couple weeks, I've been playing a lot of Madden just for shits and giggles.
I play a lot of Madden 06.
Yeah,
I have a
that's
PlayStation
what you
2.
have.
I have a PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Mike Vic's
Whatever.
nasty, bro. Let me tell you. In case anybody out there forgot how good Mike Vick is on Madden.
Giving all these people hope for Bijan this year.
Yeah.
No, I've been playing a lot of Madden this week. I don't know why. I picked it back up and I was just like, so I bought Madden. I don't normally buy Madden
You
anymore.
don't?
I used to be an every year player every year. I'd pick it up, no matter what. No matter what, I was there on release day, and I was ready to get everything set. And then I mean, I stopped playing as much just because, like, again, like, I didn't. It wasn't. You started to see like it's just the same thing over and over again every year.
It is.
Obviously, I mean, but again, at the same time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And every time they do innovate things on the game, they usually make it to be really. It's usually really good.
I will say Madden has something that WWE 2K doesn't, and that's that there's really no like bad Madden game. There's some that have been down, they've gone downhill and then gone back up or whatever, but there is no. I don't think
There's no
there's
2K20.
correct. There is no Madden game that is just universally panned. But so read that second part of that
So,
note.
I have a question because I'm not really sure. Is the Madden curse still a thing? Because if that's the case, we need to hope that Josh Allen's knees stay intact for a full season.
So, yes and no, the Madden curse is still a thing. I have a list here of every Madden cover artist and whether they were affected by the curse or not.
Now, is that up to date? Because I've seen articles like that before. I'm not
It
sure
is
how
up,
up to date this is.
it is up to date until 2022.
Okay, so nothing on last year's.
No. But, so we're going to start with 19, and I'll do these quick.
Okay.
Madden 99 was Garrison Hurst. Garrison Hurst suffered a gruesome broken ankle in the playoffs.
I don't even remember him.
2000 was Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders unexpectedly retired. So he was Madden 2000, but he retired prior to the start of the 99 season. Don't know if you can call that a curse for Barry or a curse for the Lions, but Eddie George in 01 enjoyed a successful season skirting by the Madden curse. However, I will say that in 01, really hadn't the Madden curse wasn't quite a thing
Yeah,
yet.
it wasn't established in the way that it has been over the
Right.
years.
Just like you're not going to look at WrestleMania 9 and be like, Undertaker put his streak on the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 2002, Dante Culpepper suffered a season-ending knee injury. 03, Marshall Falk suffered an ankle injury. Mike Vick fractured fibula in the preseason, missed 11 games. That was 04. 05, Ray Lewis suffered a broken wrist. That Ray Lewis's wasn't bad. He suffered a broken wrist and he missed the final game of the 04 season, but it was the first time he had missed time in 3 years. McNabb in 06 injured his groin during a Week 10 matchup with the Dallas Cowboys, placed on season-ending IR. 07 was Sean Alexander. The reigning MVP suffered a broken foot in Week 3. 08 was Vince Young. He only missed one game with a quad injury that season, but we all know that Vince Young's career just kind of never really took off.
Nope.
Brett Favre in 09. Favre, who was retired when he was named the cover athlete, returned to play for the Jets in 09. While he wouldn't miss a game, he suffered an injured bicep tendon, and the Jets would finish the season 1-4 after that injury.
I was about to say 1-4. I was like,
Yeah, after the injury.
yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald and Troy Polamalu in 10. The first game to feature multiple cover stars means double the chance someone will get hurt. Polamalu missed time while dealing with career-threatening knee injury, and Fitzgerald dealt with lingering injuries to his knees and elbows. 2011, Drew Brees would avoid injury, so nothing happened. But they had a losing record. They made
Yeah.
the playoffs with a losing record that year, so you can look at the curse that way. 2012, Peyton Hillis. Peyton Hillis.
The most inconsequential Madden cover star in history. Peyton Hillis.
Yep. He dealt with hamstring issues twice during the season and missed a game because of strep throat. 2013, Calvin Johnson. He avoided the curse by putting together one of the greatest receiving seasons in NFL history. 122 catches, 1,964 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
So Calvin Johnson was the first one to truly, truly break the curse.
Trumpet, right. 2014 was Adrian Peterson, suffered a foot sprain and dealt with a groin injury throughout that season. He would undergo surgery following the season. 2015, Richard Sherman. He played in all the regular season games, but he underwent Tommy John surgery. And again, I think we can safely say that Richard Sherman was really never the same after that. In 2016 was Odell Beckham. He had a couple lingering hamstring issues, and he was given a 1-game suspension for fighting with Josh Norman.
Oh yeah.
Josh Norman.
Sorry, I blanked out there for a moment. I was trying to remember something else at the same time.
I thought you froze. I thought I lost you completely.
No, I was trying to remember something else, and I was just like, wait, what?
Again, Odell Beckham Jr. not really been the same. 2017, Rob Gronkowski played in 8 games that season, starting just 6 as he dealt with multiple injuries. He had a pulmonary contusion and a back injury that required season-ending surgery. 2018 was Tom Brady. Brady had played the whole season. It was fine. However, lost to backup quarterback Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. 2019, Antonio Brown. Need I say more?
Nope.
2020, Patrick Mahomes. He missed some time with a dislocated kneecap. He only missed 2 games, but the Chiefs would go on to win the Super Bowl. And then Lamar Jackson in 2021. He only missed 1 game in 2020 because of COVID. And then 2022 was Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Mahomes would play all 17 regular season games, which come up short after losing in the championship game to the Bengals. And then Brady.
So for the most part, the past couple of years, the curse doesn't exist.
Correct.
So I think Josh Allen will be fine.
He should be.
Okay. So,
but again, that depends on how you view the curse. If you view the curse as an injury bug or a bad season.
Also true. Now, I feel like it's safe to say, as much as details we just went in on this whole Madden situation, I feel like it's not part of the leftovers anymore. So I want to bring up something else while I have the opportunity that I forgot to bring up. There's something else I wanted to search and look up. Why are you right here? No, I want that. One other piece of news that we didn't get to mention. Last week, they announced the blocks for the G1 Climax this year. I know last week we talked about all the names that got announced for it. Now we have them actually all broken down. And I wanted to pull that up.
Okay. They actually put them into their blocks. Got it.
So now I actually want to go through and address these blocks and see what they look like, because it's interesting how they arranged them. So, first things first, so the A block. Sonata's in there. It's his 8th entry. It's his 8th consecutive. He's the current reigning champion. There's only one. Each block has 8 competitors. There's only one other person that has any G1 experience. Other than that, he's got 6 newcomers in his block. So you're literally just giving him matches with all these people that he's probably never faced. I mean, we're talking names like so he's in there with Chase Owens. That's the only other person that's been in one. He's in his 3rd in a row. Then you've got, all making their debuts, you've got Hikuleo, Narita, Shooter, Yota Tsuji, Gabriel Kidd, and Kyle Kiyomiya. All in the same block. That's...
Now, if you're going just off of experience, you've got to have Sonata, and, he's kind of the champ. But you have to have Sonata as your favorite out of that block. But I think having that many debut entries, New Japan might have something up their sleeve.
I agree. I feel like there's something up their sleeve. I feel like there's a good possibility that one of those names get pushed to the moon. I mean, we're seeing Yota right now getting a huge push. Shooter's getting a huge push right now with him being back with Blackpool Combat Club. Yota recently joining LIJ, wanting to serve for wanting to work with Naito. I feel like that's a huge thing, but I mean, again, there's so many new names, you don't know where to go with it.
Excuse me.
Moving on to the B block. Immediately, the first thing you notice, there's two things you notice the minute you go in. One, this is a very stacked. This block is very stacked with a lot of champions, and two, there are no debuts in this block.
This is
the block. So you've got Okada, who's on his 12th in a row, 4-time winner, looking for his 3rd in a row. I would venture to say that he's not the favorite in this group. This is a group that also does still include Kenta, Tai Chi, and more importantly than anything, Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
And then of course you've got Yoshihashi in there, you've got Great Okan, you've got Tongaloa, and you got El Phantasmo. And again,
That's a nuts block, dude.
that is a stacked card right there. Um, Going into the C block, we have the current open weight champion in David Finlay making it as the lead. Also in there with Ishii, you've got Evil, Tamatanga, Takagi, Aaron Hinare, and then making their debuts both Mikey Nichols and Eddie Kingston. I think this is a good setup for Kingston to go far, but I don't think he'll win it.
Agreed.
I would not be surprised to see Shingo take the C block. Personally,
I
I
would.
think
You know
that's
what I hope
my way too early pick.
I hope we get Evil and Kingston in a match.
I mean, no, we will. I mean, that's the thing is that they
Yeah,
all
but
face each other, but like,
right, but that's like the one that Kingston and Evil.
I feel yeah, no, that's gonna be a good one for sure. I mean, Kingston, looking at these matchups that Eddie Kingston's gonna have, he's gonna be facing Tamatanga, which I feel like it's gonna be a great match. David
Yeah.
Finlay has really come into his own over the past couple years. Ishii is always a great match.
Yep.
Shit. Eddie Kingston versus the Stone Pitbull. Let's go. But yeah, no, I think
What a
Shingo is gonna.
nickname.
I think this is Shingo's to lose personally. That's my way too early call. Also, shouts out to Ishii. This is his 11th in a row, just
Him and
behind
Okada, man.
just behind Okada.
Yeah.
And then we get into the last block, the D
Oh
block.
my God, Tanahashi.
Tanahashi,
Good
three-time
God.
G1 winner, on his 22nd entry in a row.
You realize that means that Tanahashi has been competing in the G1 Climax since I was in single digits in my age.
Almost single digits for me too. Shit.
Right.
This man has
That's
been in every
nuts.
G1 in the 21st century almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's missed what, one, two?
One. I think he might not have made it in 2000
That's insane.
or 2001. I think 2002 was his first. Anyways, yes, Tanahashi is the immediate name that jumps off the page for the first block, for the D block. But this is also a block that has Naito, Hiroki Goto, Zack Sabre Jr., Jeff Cobb. I mean, Yano is going to be Yano. Yano will not
Yeah.
go far. Yano is there to eat some pins. I feel like the same thing for Shane Hayes and Alex Coughlin, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Poor Slapjack. Still taking nails.
Can't get away from it.
Again, Shane Hayes and Alex Coughlin making their debuts as well. Everybody else has plenty of experience. This is actually probably the most experienced block because you've got, again, like Tanahashi's on his 22nd in a row. Naito's on his
It has to
14th in a row. Goto's on his 16th in a row. Yano's on his 17th in a row. Like, there's a lot of, like, elder statesmen in this block.
Yeah. House is the most G1 experience.
Yeah. So, I think when these matches start up, I believe they start next month. That is going to be well worth everything. Let me see when it says the first day of the G1 is. That's Road to Strong, Forbidden Door, Strong Independence. The
G1.
G1 starts on July 15th.
1 month.
We got 1 month until the start of the G1. All right. Now we could probably return back to the leftovers. I wanted to address that.
Yeah, the real leftovers.
The real leftovers. Number one contenders battle royal last week for the NXT Women's Championship won by Thea Hale. Also notable from this battle royal, which I mean I've been praising Thea Hale for a while. It's good to see her get this run, but I feel like this is also just you've got Tiffany Stratton as your new champion that you're trying to establish. Let's put your tall, busty, larger, thoroughly like looking like a monster champion and put him up against your tiniest baby face. That's how you make your champion look strong, even if she's still a little bit green. Because Thea Hale is like only like 5 feet tall, maybe 4'11". She's tiny. Like I want
And she's not even 20 years old.
Oh, I forget that too. She's only 19. Let's see how
Yep.
tall she is. I'm gonna do a height comparison here. Let's see if this shows what her build height is. Does not.
I'll get it.
All right. Yeah, because I know there's definitely like I've seen the two of them standing by side before, and there's definitely a very very noticeable size difference, and that's my point here is that we're getting the big size difference match for Tiffany Stratton's first challenger, and I feel like that's the right thing to do when you're trying to hide how green she is because you're just gonna make her go in. You're just gonna have her go in there and use her size as the like what's going to be the deciding factor. Also, from note from that battle royal, and I remember texting you about this because I know how much you love her, but Dana Brooke was in that battle royal, and I was
My
so
girl.
quick. I was gonna be so quick to say, "Look at that! You're using your free agents properly again." Until somebody in Fightful pointed out that she was actually drafted to Raw and she's not a free agent. So already, once again, this draft is fucked.
Yeah. A for effort. Thea Hale does not have her height listed anywhere.
Yeah, she's tiny though. I know she's
Too
tiny.
young. They don't have time. They don't have enough time to measure her.
Well, that and she's
Um,
too much. Because she's so hyperactive. Like she can't. You can't get her to sit still long enough to take her height.
you remember you were like at 19?
Look, me at 19 was completely different. Me at 19 was
Yeah.
Iraq. Okay.
That's what I was gonna say. That's not a fair comparison. I remember what I was like at 19,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Me at
yeah,
19, I was in Iraq and hating my life.
fair enough. Bad comparison. But yeah, the brand split continues to just be a fucking joke year after year. I mean, I get why they do it, and I understand it, but like, fucking hold firm on it, man.
I mean, well, again, they're doing some good, but again, this is just another one of those instances where like, oh, you said you were gonna do one thing and you already changed it without making any notice. Congratulations, you suck at continuity right now. Oh well.
That leads us to the unfortunate news. We lost an absolute legend in the wrestling sphere. Um, you know, Iron Sheik sadly passed away Wednesday at the age of 81. We send our condolences to his friends, family, and loved ones. Uh,
All time great.
yeah,
The video packages that they ran on SmackDown and Raw were perfectly summed up everything. He was the first true international heel. He redefined what it was to be a heel by using the real life situations that were going on, but at the same time knowing that in person he was just one of the nicest people that everyone always had nothing but high things to say, unless of course you're Hulk Hogan, but I mean it's whatever. Also, in this, unfortunately, yes, in all the seriousness of how sad his passing is, we are also losing one of the best wrestling Twitter pages in
his
history.
dude, his tweets are fucking
His
crazy,
tweets were
man.
gold. His tweets, I don't even know if it was really him or if he had some like intern doing it for him. Either way,
I would like
that's
I would like to think that it was just Iron Sheik shouting somewhere, and somebody
same.
was like, "I gotta tweet that real quick."
Same.
Um, yeah, and let's not forget, Iron Sheik, WrestleMania X7 gimmick battle royale winner,
Also true. Forgot about that one.
because he could not be cleared to go in the ring and be tossed over the top rope, so he had to win. Oh man.
Hey, a win is a win is a win.
That's right. Don't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. Never thought we'd get an Iron Sheik Dominic Toretto crossover on this show, but
Oh well.
rest in peace, Sheik.
Rest in peace, buddy. Sheiky baby. Moving on. I am proud to announce this next one. I got an alert. It was either early this week or late last week that Frank Reich has officially made Bryce Young QB1 for the Carolina Panthers.
Cool. Hope it doesn't ruin his career.
Agreed. But we know that we're starting our rookie on day one.
Yep.
It will not be any of our. It will not be Andy Dalton.
Red Rifle.
It will not be the Red Rifle. I
I
mean,
mean, look, it helps your team because now you guys know. You know what I mean? There's
yeah.
no second guessing. Like, and now you don't have to waste time with, potentially Andy Dalton trying to get chemistry with wide receiver 1 and 2.
Hmm.
Now, Bryce can work on that. Like, it does help the team overall to know.
Hmm. And again,
Um,
and a lot of what everyone's been talking about too in the offseason for us is that we have made a lot of moves to ensure that we're setting him up for success.
yes.
Like we've got a stacked. I forget. I watched a video the other day where they pointed out where it's not just the fact that we have a rookie. It's not just the fact that that we're surrounding him with some talented veterans like Thielen and Sanders, but more importantly than anything, we have a star-studded coaching staff.
We've been talking about that for months on this show.
Like I did,
You
like
guys' coaching staff is
the
nuts.
video that I watched like broke everything down as well as they did, and like the names that they mentioned in that alone. We have Jim Caldwell on staff. We have our cornerbacks coach is D'Angelo Hall. Our quarterbacks coach is Josh McCown. We've got
Frank Wright.
we've got Frank Reich as the head coach. Obviously, we just brought in Ejiro Evero from Denver's dominant defense. Say that 5 times fast. Denver's dominant defense.
But,
Denver's dominant defense. Denver's dominant. Oh, fuck it, I don't care anymore.
but no, your coaching staff is solid, and if they can translate that knowledge onto the field, man, you guys might be all right.
Like
Especially because the NFC South division is not looking very scary.
it's not scary in. Yeah, no, for the most part, it's a very winnable division for us.
Correct.
It's a very
Correct.
winnable division, and it could really make a name for Bryce Young if he does it in his rookie year.
Yep. Braun Breaker called out Seth Rollins. We talked about that. About Seth going down to NXT.
That
So yeah,
happened
I
tonight.
gotta.
Also, I want to point out, remember how last week I was saying we were like, "Oh, it's okay. We'll record during Raw. We won't miss much." And then we were even talking
Oh,
about how like during the show, like we were getting the breaking news that McMahon was backstage sitting in Gorilla making changes.
yeah.
How wrong we were that last week turned out to be one of the best episodes of Raw in the year.
A good wrestling show.
Meanwhile, I tuned back in last night hoping that everything would be on the same level, and we got a kind of a in relation kind of a dud.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
So here's a fun fact of the week. I saw a list of players who had 6+ interceptions. Like the last time a
I
player
saw
had
that
6
same
or more
graphic. Yeah.
interceptions. The Colts have not accomplished having one player with 6 interceptions since 1994 with Ray Buchanan.
Ours was 2015 with Kurt Coleman, so I can't say shit.
I was gonna ask if you could have named it. If you hadn't seen that list, do you think you could have named it?
I probably wouldn't have, because I probably would have thought it would have been somebody like Captain Munnerlin or like
Norman.
Josh Norman, somebody along those lines. I mean, granted, same time frame. And Kurt Coleman,
Right.
Kurt Coleman was a very underrated safety. I thought he was really good. He was always making plays. He never had the same star power to him
Right.
as a lot of other defensive backs normally got.
29 years since anybody on the Colts has had 6 or more interceptions.
I mean, and also in that time period, though, they've had one of the most dominant offenses. They don't really need a dominant defense.
They've also had, I mean, they had Bob Sanders.
I was
back
getting ready to
there
say
for a
Bob
little
Sanders, yeah,
while,
but Bob Sanders
but
is
he's
Bob
a
Sanders is
hitter.
also historically small, so it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to see him getting interceptions.
And he's a hitter. He's not. He didn't go for the ball. He went for the body.
Exactly. He couldn't reach the ball half the time. He had to go for the body. That man's shorter than I am. Seriously, what does it say
I
when
know.
an all-star safety is shorter than you when you're one of the shorter people that you know?
Oh man.
Moving on. I want to give a shout out to Alex Shelley. Won his first ever world championship at Against All Odds for Impact the other day, defeating Steve Macklin. Did not see it coming, to be honest. It will now be also for that 8-4-1 match that we brought up from last week was won by Nick Aldis. So that's going to be his next challenger. Also, want to point out to the shout out for the Motor City Machine Guns. Chris Sabin won the X Division title on the same show. So now you've got both members of Motor City Machine Guns holding singles titles. Congratulations to
Nice.
them. Very well
Nice.
earned.
Nice. This next one. After only 3 months on the roster, the Patriots have already let go of running back James Robinson.
Yeah, I just put that in right as we were getting started. I was double checking like if there was any other news that I missed, and I saw that. I was just like, wait, that happened yesterday?
Yeah. Never should have left the Jags, man.
Well, no, that's the thing is that the Jags let him go because they were like, nah, we're good. We got Travis Etienne,
Yeah, I
and because like he was still recovering from what was it, a hamstring injury,
think so.
and he has not recovered the same.
Hate to see
Excuse
it.
me. Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but I mean, let's hope that again another big free agent running back. Let's see where it goes.
Yep.
Pull from Fightful Select. This is a pull from Fightful Select directly because I figured just quoting it was the best way to explain it. Fightful has learned that seamstress Sandra Gray is finishing up on the road with All Elite Wrestling imminently, which they have actually already done her retirement ceremony and wished her well. She's been with the company since the beginning. She's well liked by the AEW roster and has been making wrestling gear since the 90s when she was approached by Sable to make Johnny B. Bad's gear in WCW. She ended up working with WCW until it was acquired by WWE. Worked with WWE until 2015 when All Elite started. Brandy Rhodes was instrumental in getting her hired for the upstart company. We're told that even in retirement she will continue to make Cody's attire, which she's done for years.
Wow.
And let's be real, Cody's got some of the best ring gear in the game. So
Absolutely.
that's a testament to her work. She has also helped make wedding dresses for on-screen wrestling weddings, as well as the Houston Texans cheerleader uniforms. We wish her the best in retirement.
Yeah. Enjoy your retirement,
That
Sandra.
it's always this is one of those moments where like you hear of somebody that is an unsung hero backstage getting their due.
My first thought is John Cena being like, "All right, Stu, time to go to work."
Yep.
You know, like, and it's cool because a lot of people don't realize how much goes on that you don't see.
Yeah. It's either like at this point it's either Sandra Gray or it's Bakazi. It's
Yeah.
one of the two.
Yeah.
Those are the two that are making the best gear out there for the most part.
Makazi was a wrestler for a bit,
Yeah.
you know. And then in closing, so Braun Strowman was asked about like his timetable coming back from injury, and here's a direct quote: "You just never know. My feet are really weird, so my right arch is collapsed on my right foot, and my left leg is 15% paralyzed."
So, I mean, I heard that the injuries were bad. This is unfortunate. However, I am instantly reminded when I heard that last week, the first thing that came to my mind was when they let go of him and they rehired him and them talking about how he was already 2 to 3 years past his prime. And this is proof of it because again, your big guys, they don't have a long shelf life.
Just getting ready to say that, dude. When you're that fucking big, I mean, yeah, your knees and your
Look at how many different surgeries that Big Show has been through over the years.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge testament. And honestly, like he's moved slower and slower every year. Even though he got in better shape, he continued to move slower and slower because his knees would only allow him so much.
I mean, like, wasn't like Andre the Giant like shorter when he died because of like his injuries and stuff?
Yeah, because of all the like the health issues. I think I remember hearing that same thing.
Hulk Hogan even he's a couple inches shorter from doing the leg drop for 30 years.
Yep.
40 years. But yeah, I mean, these big guys, man, like it's first of all, wrestling's not easy on your body.
Not at all.
And second, when you're that big, excuse me, when you're that big and you do some of the things that Braun Strowman has done, you know, like, I mean, the man flipped an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there was camera tricks and stuff, but like, he was lifting some of that.
Well, it's not camera tricks. The trick to it was the fact that they had the little bracer that he could, once he pushed it over, it was like he knew that it wasn't just gonna like scooch the vehicle. It was already like it had chalk blocks in the way that once you pushed it, it was going over.
Right. But still, man, like,
Still takes a lot of strength to do that. It's no different. It's no different than you watch people doing like Humvee pulls. Have you ever watched somebody do a
Yes.
Humvee pull? It's not
Yes.
that different.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Side note: I actually pulled a F-250 in high school for part of a strongman competition.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
The car's in neutral. Once you get it going, it's not going to stop.
Exactly. Once it's rolling, it's rolling. That's why
Yeah.
that's why it's more impressive if you do it for distance. Like when you see those guys doing it for like a full like 1,000 meters or something.
Right.
Or like
So,
I had a buddy of mine. I want to give a special non-related shout out to my buddy Mike McCassell. For those of you that have never heard of him, he does a project called he's in the middle of a project called the 12 Labors. It brings awareness to a lot of veteran issues, military issues, and it's been legitimate like feats of strength and endurance. He's done like among the 12. I think he's on his ninth one right now. Over time, once he's done training for it, but I mean, he's done things such as he's broken the record for the most time submerged under ice. He's broken the record for the most pull-ups with a weighted vest on in 24 hours.
wow.
He pulled a Humvee across, like he did a truck pull across the desert for 22 miles for the 22 a day. It's
Yeah.
been amazing stuff like that. If you guys are interested, definitely look it up. Again, his name is Mike McCassell, the 12 Labors Project. Go check it out. It's some really good stuff. I'm so grateful to be a friend of his.
That's awesome.
He's so talented,
That's
and
awesome.
everything is just done in a good name. And again, it's just one of those things where like feats of strength like that, it still takes some work.
Oh yeah.
Still takes
Oh
some
yeah.
work.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to end this week's episode,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, that's gonna do it for us though. I mean, again, we kept it nice, short, sweet. Still somehow got an hour out of it, but it's whatever.
Hmm.
We've been on topic. We haven't gone out too far off astray, so it's gonna make editing nice and easy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for us though. We'll be back next week with we'll have Money in the Bank predictions next week, I believe. I could be wrong,
I
or
think
is that
we
too
do.
soon? No,
I think
we
we
still have
do.
another week before that.
Yeah.
But actually, no. Next week will be Forbidden Door predictions.
Yeah.
Ooh, we gotta do Forbidden Door. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's gonna be coming up. As always, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. It's all free. It helps us out. It helps us make sure that we're doing. Lets us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. Until then, for Bobby, I'm Dick Burns. That's gonna be it for us this week. We'll see y'all next week. Have a good one.